NASA project called the Antarctic Impulsive Transient Antenna made news recently with what appears to be the discovery of a parallel universe above Antarctica, a universe where time is running backwards. There have also been stories of mysterious structures being found deep beneath the ice in the continent. So just what is going on in Antarctica? Antarctica is the world's southernmost continent. It is also the world's highest, driest, windiest, coldest, and iciest continent. Antarctica is about 5.5 million square miles in size, and thick ice covers about 98% of the land. The continent is divided into East Antarctica, which is mainly a high ice-covered plateau, and West Antarctica, largely composed of an ice sheet covering an archipelago of mountainous islands. Knowledge about Antarctica has increased greatly in recent decades, with geologists, geophysicists, glaciologists, biologists, and other scientists having mapped and visited all of the continent's mountain regions. But there are still great mysteries to be discovered there. In May 2020, Antarctica hit the news in a sensational new way, when an article appeared claiming NASA had uncovered evidence for a parallel universe there. This data came from the Antarctic Impulsive Transient Antenna, ANITA, a NASA-funded experiment that has floated around the South Pole 4 times since 2006. It mainly looks for evidence of elusive particles called neutrinos crashing into the ice below and triggering a spray of particles that emits telltale radio waves. ANITA has not yet traced any such signals. However, the instrument has found radio signals produced by other types of particles from space known as cosmic rays as they crash into Earth. According to the report, low-energy subatomic neutrinos with a mass close to zero can pass completely through the Earth, but higher energy objects are stopped by the solid matter of our planet. That means that the high-energy particles can only be detected coming down from space. But the team's ANITA detected heavier particles, so-called tower neutrinos, which come up from the Earth. This bizarre finding would suggest that these particles are actually traveling backwards in time, suggesting evidence of a parallel universe. Explaining this signal requires the existence of an upside-down universe created in the same Big Bang as our own and existing in parallel with it. In this mirror world, positive is negative, left is right, and time runs backwards. According to the Daily Star, there is a parallel universe right next to ours where all the rules of physics seem to be operating in reverse. Can this be real? Do we have evidence for a parallel universe existing in Antarctica? Unfortunately, it looks like some news agencies may have misinterpreted the evidence somewhat. The numerous parallel universe articles now online seem to originate to a story published by The New Scientist with the alarming headline, "We may have spotted a parallel universe going backwards in time." The article contains a discussion of the puzzling results from the ANITA experiment. Essentially, it was misinterpreted by a few publications that, it seems, just read the headline. The real story is about neutrinos. Particle physicist Peter Gorham, who is the principal investigator of ANITA, told Science Alert, "We have encountered a small number of anomalies in our data, and once we have exhausted all of the possible explanations within the standard model of physics, only then is it time to consider other ideas that push these boundaries. We are really not done here yet, certainly not at the point where parallel universes are necessary." Leading member of the ANITA experiment team, Ibrahim Safa, said, "We looked at these ANITA events and they can't be standard neutrinos. They were probably a result of our imperfect understanding of the Antarctic ice, but there's a chance some new physics phenomenon is responsible." In December 2017, it was reported that researchers had found a previously unknown huge canyon deep beneath the ice-covered continent. Using radar technology, scientists were able to look 5 kilometers beneath the snow and ice to discover this deep canyon. The feature, which was found near the Denman Glacier on the west of Antarctica, extends for more than 3,500 meters below sea level, almost as deep as the average depth of the ocean. This is also 8 times deeper than the shores of the Dead Sea, which is the lowest exposed landmass on Earth. Previous attempts to map the structure of the Denman Glacier have been unsuccessful, as the deep ice flow beneath the surface skewed results, representing it as much shallower than scientists now know it is. But the latest effort to create the map, known as the BED machine, combined ice flow information with seismic activity to create the detailed map. Matthew Morlingham, who studies ice sheet modeling at the University of California, told the BBC News, "There have been many attempts to sound the bed of Denman, but every time they flew over the canyon, they couldn't see it in the radar data. The trough is so entrenched that you get side echoes from the walls of the valley, and they make it impossible to detect the reflection from the actual bed of the glacier. Ultimately, BED machine Antarctica presents a mixed picture. Ice streams in some areas are relatively well protected by their underlying ground features, while others on retrograde beds are shown to be more at risk from potential marine ice sheet instability." In January 2020, Antarctica again hit the news when an image taken from Google Earth was published online. This sensational image seemed to suggest that there might actually be a huge, tall building standing on the ice in Antarctica. A video was uploaded to a YouTube channel, Mr. MBB33, and the paranormal researchers who own the channel suggest that the structure is as much as 2,000 feet in height and the width spans 6 football fields. The video on YouTube has received over 80,000 views so far, and viewers are clearly fascinated by what they think they can see in the image. Strange that all countries want to take over land, but no country claims Antarctica. I think there is something that they know that we don't, one commenter said. Another user suggested that something along the lines of the Project Iceworm was active in Antarctica. Project Iceworm was a top-secret United States Army program of the Cold War, which aimed to build a network of mobile nuclear missile launch sites under the Greenland ice sheet. Many people, however, believe this controversial image shows nothing more than a huge, oddly shaped block of ice. One ongoing mystery of Antarctica is the vast hole in the continent, which first appeared in the 1970s. Many paranormal researchers believe that this hole leads to a lost world beneath Antarctica, perhaps populated by strange creatures, or even that the hole leads to an underground alien base. In the early 1970s, when satellites first began taking photos of Earth, scientists noticed a mysterious hole in one of Antarctica's seasonal ice packs floating on the Lazarus Sea. But strangely, when the summer arrived, the gap disappeared. Was someone or something able to somehow close this massive hole? Was some unheard of extraterrestrial technology involved? For decades, this strange event went unexplained. But in 2017, during the continent's coldest winter months, when ice should have been at its thickest, a giant 9,500 square kilometer hole suddenly appeared in the same ice pack. 2 months later, it had grown a stunning 740% larger, before once again retreating with the summer ice. It's taken a long time, but scientists now think they finally understand why this keeps happening. Using satellite observations and reanalysis data, researchers from New York University, Abu Dhabi, have found that these transient holes, known as polyonas, seem to be scars from cyclonic storms. In September of 2017, as warm air and cold air collided at the South Pole, the swirling inward winds of a cyclone, reaching 117 kilometers an hour and whipping up waves 16 meters high, pushed the Antarctic ice back in all directions and away from the eye of the storm, like a drill into the water. These gaps are powerful influences of the atmosphere and a potential indicator of climate change. Atmospheric scientist Diana Francis stated, "Once opened, it works like a window through the sea ice, transferring huge amounts of energy during winter between the ocean and the atmosphere. Because of their large size, mid-sea polyonas are capable of impacting the climate regionally and globally as they modify the oceanic circulation." In 2017, an image of part of Antarctica directly south of Australia appeared online. This showed what some paranormal researchers believe to be a Motte and Bailey castle, a design of castle peculiar to the 10th–13th century Europe. The motte is a type of artificial mound topped with a wooden or stone structure known as a keep. The Bailey is a fortified enclosure next to the motte. What was a medieval castle doing in Antarctica? Was it part of a parallel dimension? Could it have been transported there by aliens? The Antarctic structure was about 120 meters across, which made it somewhat large for a medieval castle, but anyway, it did possess two circles, the Motte and Bailey perhaps. One problem with the castle theory was that the whole structure appeared to be completely flat without the significant earthworks, which in part define a Motte and Bailey castle. The mounds of such castles are particularly enduring across the centuries, but as researchers looked into the image, they noticed that the dark blue patches inside the rings were water above ice. The structure is most likely a pond or shallow lake that has frozen over during the winter and in spring, when the image was captured, had drained to some extent. This probably followed the melting or washing away of a naturally formed dam or plug. Some patterns and movements of ice and water are commonly seen wherever there is standing water with seasonal freezing. This explanation is a lot more likely than the presence of a 1,000-year-old castle belonging to a far distant culture. Despite the fact that some of Antarctica's secrets have been revealed, there is no doubt that in the future this enigmatic continent will offer up many more fascinating mysteries to the world.